Federal jury finds rapper Sean Kingston and his mother guilty on all charges in their fraud trial. The pair accused of acquiring luxury items but scheming never to pay for them. The artist, whose real name is Sean Anderson, left the courtroom tonight without speaking to reporters. He'll be on house arrest until sentencing.
Singer Sean Kingston is in a Miami hospital after crashing a jet ski into a bridge. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says Kingston and a female passenger were injured when the watercraft hit the Palm Island Bridge yesterday.
Rose just went off on Sean Kingston and didn't hold back for a second. She tore into him over a wild $1 million scam that's now got both him and his mom wrapped up in serious legal heat. And she didn't stop there. Rose even exposed a whole list of celebs who also got played by Sean. Oh, and that so-called boat accident. She's calling total cap on that too. But let's rewind to the fraud case first, because this one's messy. Ricky spilled the tea. Sean Kingston and his mom were out here pulling off one of the slickest celebrity scams the internet's seen in a long time. And now it's all catching up to them. The feds came through with receipts saying these two were scamming folks out of over $1 million, pretending to drop stacks on flashy stuff like exotic cars, giant flat screens, icy chains, you name it. But here's the twist. They never paid a dime. According to Ross, this ain't even new. He says they've been doing this for years. And their trick? Sean would name drop celebs like Justin Bieber, flex like he's got it like that, and offer things like shout-outs or social media promo in exchange for luxury goods. But when the bill came due, boom, fake wire transfers and poof, they vanish like smoke.
Want to know what they finessed? Buckle up. First, a bulletproof Escalade worth $160,000. Then some ultra-luxury watches, a gigantic 232-inch LED screen, and nearly $500,000 in jewelry. All scammed. They were living like royalty off nothing but smoke and mirrors. And Ross? He didn't come empty-handed. He dropped receipts. Real ones.
Prosecutors came through with receipts. Real ones. They pulled up text messages showing Sean telling his mom to whip up a fake payment receipt so it looked like the cash was on the way. All while vendors were chasing them down, only getting paid if they threatened legal action or straight up called the cops. But here's the twist. Mama Kingston wasn't just in the background watching it all go down. The judge said she was the real boss behind the scenes. Yep, you heard that right. The court straight up called Janice Kingston the mastermind. She was handling the money, making the shady moves, and calling all the shots. And get this ain't even her first time getting her hands dirty. Back in 2006, she did time for bank fraud. This woman's got a whole track record. Now things are really heating up. Both Sean and his mom got slapped with multiple wire fraud charges, and sentencing is locked in for July 11th, 2025. And this ain't some light slap on the wrist. Each charge carries up to 20 years behind bars. After that guilty verdict hit, Janice got hauled off to jail immediately. As for Sean, he's on house arrest right now, cooling off in luxury, sitting comfy thanks to a $500,000 property bond and $200,000 cash bail.
The feds didn't mince words either. They labeled the whole operation as Masters of Deception. But Sean's lawyer tried to play him off as just some clueless celebrity who didn't know what he was doing. And Janice's legal team, they went bold, claiming the victims were shady too. Bottom line, Ross ain't falling for the act, and neither are the feds. Sean Kingston didn't just trip into trouble. He built a whole fake empire using his name and fame to sell the illusion. But now, the feds just yanked the rug right out from under him. And let's not kid ourselves. This scheme didn't just start yesterday. It's been bubbling for years. Now let's talk about that so-called boat accident. Yeah, that one. The 2011 jet ski crash that had the whole world sending prayers. At the time, it was painted as a tragic near-death moment. They said Sean had a torn aorta, shattered wrist, broken ribs, and almost drowned. Dude was in critical condition, needed emergency open heart surgery, and was in the hospital for over 3 weeks. The doctors even said he tried to die more than once. Sounds like a nightmare, right? But when you really look at how everything unfolded after the crash, you gotta ask, was this all just a wild coincidence? Or something deeper? Because here's the thing. Before that accident, Sean's spotlight was fading fast. Beautiful girls had already cooled off, and yeah, the Justin Bieber cosign helped,
but the hype was dying down. Then suddenly, boom! He crashes a jet ski into a bridge with a woman on the back, and just like that, the internet lights up. Celebs are tweeting, fans are sending love, and the media's giving him this huge sympathy glow-up.
Then he drops a comeback album called Back to Life. Like seriously? Either that's one poetic accident or a next-level industry rebrand. And if you know how this game works, nothing is ever really accidental.
If Rick Ross had a mic right now, he'd probably say something like, "I know the game. When the buzz dies, you gotta make some noise." And honestly, he's got a point. In the world of fame, sometimes you gotta cause a little splash to stay relevant, and that splash can turn into a tsunami real quick. Artists have faked breakups, made up beefs, even milked near-death moments. Because let's be real, that's headline gold.
And Sean Kingston, he played that game like a pro. After that jet ski crash, even though his new singles didn't blow up the charts, suddenly everyone was talking about him again. The man flipped the narrative from washed-up artist to inspirational survivor in record time. He showed off his weight loss, started preaching about lifestyle changes, and came back with this whole new vibe. That crash, he turned it into a full-on rebrand. To keep it fair, yeah, the injuries were real. There were body marks on the bridge, eyewitnesses, medical reports, all of it. So no, there's no solid proof that he staged the accident. The official report blamed speeding and lack of experience. So it probably wasn't some wild PR stunt. But did he capitalize on it to spin a new story for himself? Absolutely. That near-death moment became the perfect intro to his so-called rebirth.
Could he have faked it? Maybe. But if he did, he went way too deep, real scars and all. Still, that chapter is closed now. After he and his mom got nailed in court, the real story came out. They weren't using fame just for clout. They were using it to bait real people. Small biz owners, jewelers, vendors. Those were the real victims. One of Sean's go-to tricks? Telling people he had big projects coming up with none other than Justin Bieber.
So get this. Sean Kingston allegedly told a high-end jeweler that he and Justin Bieber had a big-time deal in motion. He claimed if the jeweler handed over a $285,000 Audemars Piguet watch, he'd get major exposure through Bieber. Sounded like a once-in-a-lifetime promo, right? But in reality, these vendors weren't buying into a collab. They were getting straight-up finessed. And that wasn't even the end of it. Prosecutors say Sean had a whole playbook. He'd tell vendors that if they gave him luxury goods, cars, jewelry, furniture, he could pass their products on to other big-name celebs. It was like he was selling golden backstage passes to Hollywood. Only problem? He never had access to begin with.
What's wild is, none of the celebs he name-dropped ever actually got involved. There's zero proof Justin Bieber, or any other celeb, knew Sean was tossing their names around like confetti. It was all smoke and mirrors. Sean wasn't selling partnerships, he was selling illusions.
And the people who got caught in the crossfire? Hard-working business owners, jewelers, car dealerships, banks, furniture suppliers, all trusting that his fame meant something real. Instead, they got played like amateurs. One jeweler took a hit for nearly $300,000. A Cadillac dealership got shorted $160,000. A furniture dealer lost $86,000 just like that. And don't even get me started on the banks. Sean and his mom allegedly pulled over $300,000 out of Bank of America and First Republic using fake documents. This wasn't some sloppy hustle. This was organized fraud at a whole different level.
Sean used his fame like a weapon, shielding himself from suspicion while striking deals that were nothing but lies.
Here's the coldest part of the whole hustle. Sean knew exactly what he was doing. He understood that once folks saw fame in the mix, their guard dropped real quick. Slap a celebrity name on a deal, and boom, people stop asking questions. That's how he kept the scam running so smooth. But here's where things take a turn. Why was it Rick Ross, of all people, who stepped out and started talking?
Well, it runs deep. Ross and Kingston weren't just music buddies. They've had a connection stretching over 17 years. Cameos, features, low-key loyalty, and plenty of public cosigns. But now, with Sean's fraud mess splashed all over the headlines, people are starting to look sideways. Was Ross just being a loyal big bro? Or did he low-key know more than he let on?
Let's rewind. Back when beautiful girls had Sean riding high and counting checks, Ross was already running the Miami rap game. Their bond was tight, real tight. Sean even called Ross his big brother, saying Ross would pull up for him, no questions asked. This wasn't just about business. They were close on a personal level. Hooping at Ross's crib, rolling through the same circles, making music video cameos like it was second nature. And if you know anything about Miami, that scene ain't just sunshine and yachts. It's about who you know, respect codes, loyalty, and keeping certain things quiet. Back then, when Ross was catching heat, Sean had his back. So now that the tables have turned, people are wondering if Ross was just returning the favor or staying quiet on purpose.
Even after Sean's spotlight started to fade, the bond didn't break. From flashy music vids like Colors to records like Moneybag, they kept repping together, long after most people stopped taking Sean seriously. So now the question is, was it loyalty or was it looking the other way?
But let's be real. Rick Ross don't stick around when the heat's on. When the drama starts bubbling, he dips fast. Ask 50 Cent, ask Birdman, shoot, even ask folks who were in his own circle. And now, we're watching the same pattern play out with Sean Kingston. Things got too messy, too public, and Ross, nowhere to be found.
Sean staring down real federal time for fraud and shady deals, and Ross ain't lifting a finger. No more shout-outs, no more features, not even a word of support. Silent. And that's got people asking, did Ross know something before all this blew up? Not saying he was in on it. But in the music world, nothing stays a secret for long. People talk, whispers float. And if you've been that close to someone for over a decade, it's hard to believe you didn't see a red flag or two. Now, pay attention, because July 11th, 2025, that's a date you want to circle in bold. That's the day Sean finds out if he's going to prison and for how long. And it's not looking light. Each wire fraud charge comes with up to 20 years. And since there's multiple counts stacked against him, the court could decide to drop the hammer hard and make an example out of him. But here's the twist. Sometimes, if the judge allows sentences to run at the same time, he might not have to serve the full stretch. Sounds better, right? Maybe. But there's more. Sean's technically a first-time federal offender, and usually that helps people catch a lighter break. But prosecutors aren't playing with him or his mama. They called them straight-up masters of deception. So even with that first-time card in his pocket, it might not save him this time. Sean's mama? She's already got a rap sheet. Back in 2006, she caught a fraud conviction, and yeah, that past is definitely coming back to haunt them now. It's not helping their case one bit. And Sean? Don't get it twisted. He's not living easy. He's locked down on house arrest, ankle monitor strapped tight, probably pacing around wondering where it all went left. To even stay out of jail till sentencing, Sean had to cough up a $200,000 cash deposit and lock down a $500,000 property bond. That's $500,000 just to sleep in his own bed. But it's not over yet, not by a long shot. His legal team already confirmed they're appealing the guilty verdict, which could delay any jail time while they fight it out in court. And Mama Kingston's lawyer? They're throwing shots too, saying some of the vendors weren't innocent either, allegedly tossing the fraudster label around themselves.
Now let's get into what's really going to matter, sentencing factors. On one side, you've got the scale of this whole thing. Over $1 million in luxury goods finessed, cars, watches, giant TVs, straight up luxury living built on lies. On the other side, Sean's legal team might try to pull the sympathy card. They're pointing to health issues like asthma and a heart condition to ask the judge for mercy.
But will the judge fall for that? That's the million-dollar question. Because while Sean's camp is begging for leniency, the public ain't buying it. The streets are watching, and they're not impressed. People are fed up with celebs chasing clout, faking the lifestyle, and selling illusions while real folks out here are grinding just to pay bills.
The vibe right now? Total side-eye. Folks feel played, not just by the scam, but by the message behind it. Instead of building something real, Sean and his squad went all in trying to look rich, not be rich. And in this economy, that fake it till you make it hustle don't hit the same anymore. It feels tone deaf, outdated, and straight up reckless. Oh, and we're not done yet, because we gotta break down the wild list of luxury items they allegedly scammed their way into. And let's talk about what's happening to all that flashy stuff Sean was flexing. The feds didn't just come for him, they came for everything. During a full-blown SWAT raid in May 2024 at his Florida rental spot, they snatched up a stash of luxury goods like it was a designer clearance sale. All of it, cars, watches, electronics, is now sitting tight in federal custody as evidence until sentencing day drops. Now, there's a few ways this could play out. If the court gives the green light, some of those seized items might actually be returned to the people who got scammed, like Moshe, the jeweler who got burned hard in this scheme. That is, if the items are still in decent shape and didn't magically disappear or get lost in the mix. But if anything's damaged, sold off under the table, or just gone without a trace, then Sean and Mama Kingston are gonna be on the hook to pay up the cash value, and that's a whole other headache. We're talking over $1 million in restitution that needs to be paid out. If the bulletproof Escalade's got a few battle scars, or that iced out AP watch is nowhere to be found, guess what? It's gonna cost them big. And if the court chooses to go the forfeiture route, that means the government can auction off those items, with the money either going straight to the victims or used to cover federal penalties. Either way, Sean's luxe lifestyle is getting stripped down and sold off, piece by piece. Oh, and let's not forget, his rental property is still on the table too. If they need more cash to cover what's owed, best believe the feds will come for that next. They've got plenty of tools to make sure victims don't walk away empty-handed. Right now, it's all tangled up in a messy legal process. But one thing's crystal clear. That fake high life Sean was living, it's getting repoed real fast. Victims now gotta jump through hoops just to maybe get their stuff back. They'll have to officially file claims, and even then, there's a big chance some of those luxury goods are already long gone, sold off, hidden, or maybe never even reported in the first place. That's gonna make recovering those items a straight-up nightmare, and it's all riding on what the court decides. Either folks get their things returned, or Sean and his mom are cutting checks to cover the losses.
But don't think it ends there. Not even close. This case is bigger than just jail time. It's about making victims whole and showing that you can't just finesse your way through life without consequences. With the size of this fraud, the case could set a whole new standard for how the system handles flashy celebrity scams. The court's final decision on those seized goods, that could actually influence how heavy Sean's sentence ends up being.
By the time July 11th hits and sentencing goes down, the feds are expected to have all the receipts sorted. Whether it's handing back Bentleys and diamond watches or writing big fat checks, restitution is coming, no way around it. Sean and Janice Kingston are gonna have to cough it up, one way or another. And let's be real, the feds don't play when it comes to this kind of fraud. This wasn't some back office bank scam. It was bold, public, and loud. They weren't quietly siphoning money. They were out here flexing for the gram while allegedly robbing folks blind. Now as for Sean's music, let's not pretend he's been topping charts lately. His career's been hanging by a thread since the early 2000s. But hey, this is the entertainment industry. People love a redemption arc. Maybe after all this, he'll pop back up with a tell-all docuseries, a comeback album, or some new man, new path tour.
Either way, he's got to face the music first, literally and legally.
Now here's where things really take a turn. Sean Kingston's comeback dreams? On pause. The future's looking shaky, and even though he's trying to appeal the verdict, the truth is, the feds are locked and loaded with evidence. They've got texts, receipts, and a whole trail of shady moves. And while Sean's team is scrambling behind the scenes, the public ain't showing much sympathy. That sentencing date, July 11th, is creeping up fast, and everything could change. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, word just dropped. Sean couldn't even cover his bond. Remember how the court hit him with that $200,000 cash requirement, plus a $500,000 property bond just to stay on house arrest? Well, Sean and his team tried to get slick. They brought in a relative's debt-free property, hoping it'd help seal the deal.
But that move didn't hit like they planned. It still left them $100,000 short. No backup plan, no last-minute miracle. Fast forward to just a few days ago, they pull up to court, maybe hoping for some grace. But the judge wasn't having it. Sean's own legal team had to admit they couldn't pull the money together. So the judge hit him with the coldest response, say less. And just like that, boom, he was taken straight into federal custody.
So now, Sean Kingston is officially sitting in the hands of the U.S. Marshals, locked up until sentencing unless he can somehow produce that final $100,000 out of thin air. Spoiler alert, it ain't looking likely.
And let's be real, people are asking, where's all that money? But the truth is, when your whole lifestyle was built on fake wire transfers and borrowed flex, the bag was never really yours to begin with. That bulletproof Escalade, that massive LED screen, all that iced-out jewelry, scammed, not earned.
He never really owned most of it. It was just part of the illusion. And now that illusion's come crashing down, no more flexing, no more faking, just a hard dose of reality. He wasn't out here dropping stacks. He was finessing vendors with fake wire receipts, not real money. So all that luxury, the cars, the watches, the screens, it was nothing but smoke and mirrors. Let's keep it a buck. Sean Kingston hasn't had a real hit in years. Like seriously. When's the last time you saw him on the charts?
His main bread probably came from performance gigs, overseas bookings, and the occasional feature. But even that was likely hit or miss. And ever since this legal storm started brewing, you already know most of those gigs dried up quick. Who's gonna book a headliner when headlines are screaming fraud? On top of all that, he's got a mountain of legal bills to deal with. Because trust, them high-powered lawyers aren't working out of kindness. With both him and his mama deep in this case, you can bet he's already burned through a serious bag just trying to stay out of jail. But here's what we want to know. What do you think about this whole Sean Kingston fraud situation? The fact that he and his own mom were allegedly out here running scams on people? Is it wild to you, or do you think there's more to the story? Was Rose right to air him out and shine a light on the whole operation? Or should she have kept quiet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading all of them. And while you're here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the tea. Hit that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got more stories just like this one. See you on the next one.